Hello and welcome back to the SuperCoach Corner podcast for another episode prior to the commencement of the 2026 AFL SuperCoach season. I'm your host, Tyson, and joining alongside me, as always, is Darcy. Darcy, how are you feeling about the forward rookies and mid-prices?
Yeah, feeling pretty good, mate. The rookies we've been blessed with in the forward line, so it's gonna be a nice few guys we can lock away, and a couple of left field guys we'll talk about as well. But no, it's been good. And then I think that we've got a fair share of nice, juicy mid prices to talk about as well. So plenty of guys to chat about, which is good.
Yeah, nice. Clearly joining us from a different location, a little bit of a different mic, but we'll make do. We'll make do. Yeah, make sure you get onto all our socials, give us a follow, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'll just be bringing out a heap of content, so make sure you're following along and you don't miss any of that. And jump into our Unlimited League 728323. And we have a few cash leagues still available. The spots are limited, so make sure you get in quick for those. But let's just get stuck into the rookies. And we'll start with probably the biggest lock of them all, I'd say, in the forward line. Maybe one that's going to contend with Jagger Smith in terms of money making, in my eyes. Devin Robertson from West Coast, 119.9K, forward only. He just looks locked into that West Coast midfield mix, doesn't he?
Yeah, showed last week in the Pracky match what he can do when given the midfield role. So he's probably the biggest lock, if not the next guy, Tice. I think you've breezed past Mateus Philippou. I think he is the biggest lock we've got. A little bit more expensive, but yeah, he's probably the first picked in every team.
Yeah, well, look, we may as well talk about them in conjunction. They're both look pretty locked into their respective midfields. Philippou might be the fourth guy in there, but he's getting enough of it to show, and we know he's got the class to be a top end scorer at times. So we can definitely lock both Philippou and Devin Robertson into our sides. They'll both generate a heap of cash, provide some great safe on-field scoring. I think if you've got them on your bench, you almost need to maneuver your side a little bit to get them on your field. Even if it's in the flex, they're just too good of scorers to have wasting on your bench. In my opinion, which means you probably have to go, if you're picking these two, definitely, you got to have two on the bench as well. So we'll get into a few more, but yeah, in short, just lock him in. Like, yeah, Robertson, West Coast went after him for a few years, and they finally got him. And yeah, he's in their first choice midfield. So I think it's pretty easy to pick both of those. Then we'll move to a couple of guys that we've got, probably got some good upside. But they've all got their respective, I guess, issues in selecting them. We'll start with Todd Marshall. Das. We were both pretty hot on Todd Marshall. We loved this defensive role, intercepting role. 148K is the price we're getting him for. Is he locked into that defense, do you think? And does he provide enough scoring to be able to be, generate enough cash for us?
He's from all reports, he's definitely locked into the defense. So I love that role. The scoring, I think, will fluctuate just because we haven't seen it a lot at AFL level. We saw in that first Pracky match, he struggled a bit, and in the second one, I think he took 6 or 7 intercept marks. So he can do it if given the opportunity, and he gets his game right. But I don't expect consistent scores from him. But I still think there's upside there with the role.
Yeah, I agree. I think the fact that he played all of the official practice game down back is the positive sign for me. I think that role is locked there. So yeah, the annoying thing is we don't see him in round 0, but yeah, 148K, I think I'm just going to lock him away on my bench and he'll generate me a lot of cash. Get that defensive forward swing as well at round 6 if that role sticks, so that's always positive. Lockie Doverston from North, a bit of a small forward, but dominated against your mob in the practice game. Do you like what you saw there?
Yeah, it wasn't on my radar at all, but really impressed me in that Pracky match. So I think he's got a lot about him. Small forward, though, at a slightly elevated price, I still think there's better options out there. I think there's at least 4 guys that I'd take over him. So, yeah, I don't think he'll be my starting team. But he looks like a really good player. I think North have one there.
Yeah. I don't hate the pick as well. If you're going really deep in a different line and you need a 5th rookie, because I think me and you both have the same rookies in our forward line. So yeah, if you need a fifth one, maybe Lockie Dobson is the man for you. Artie Jones for Western Bulldogs is selected in tonight's game. We're recording on the Saturday prior to the Bulldogs game. And yeah, if he's going to provide some nice scoring, he's probably going to play that small forward role as well. But if he pushes up the ground more, I quite like it. The mid forward swing is quite nice, helps us out in the midfield with the rookies that are pretty sparse in there. Maybe you could just throw him into the midfield rookies. I'm not sure. Do you like what you see from Artie Jones?
I've never liked him at AFL level, but he's shown a bit in the preseason. That's he's a big watch for me tonight, and not for the forward line, more for the midfield. I just think because we're stretching ourselves thin in there. Again, I've got four guys at least, and I'm happier in the forward line than Artie Jones. But I think in the midfield, he'd be a sniff.
Yeah.
If he looked like he's pushing up the ground a lot more in the preseason matches, and getting his hands on the footy, which I think is good signs.
Yeah, definitely. I do like that role. Pushing up the ground, yeah, is always nicer to see rather than just a small forward, which is what Lockie Dobson's probably going to be. So I don't know whether I'd pick Jones over Dobson, but the fact the midfield swing is very nice. Well, you keep saying that there's four guys ahead, and I know my fourth forward rookie. I reckon it's the same as yours. We both have Dever Robson, Philippou, Marshall, and Leo Lombard, I assume. Definitely shown enough, and we saw what he did last night against the Cats. I think he was more than serviceable to have as a nice forward rookie option. Is he locked away in your forward line?
Yeah, locked away. He's looked so good this preseason. Looked really good again last night. I think he gives the Suns something a little bit different as well. So I think job security is really good, which was probably a knock on him early on. But yeah, I can't knock it now. I think he'll provide pretty consistent scoring, and with the guys that we've spoken about already, you can pretty safely put him on your bench as well. So don't have to worry about fielding him because you'll have probably a couple up and down games. They won't smash teams by 70 points every week, but yeah, I think he's pretty safe, and he's a guy that everyone should probably start.
Yeah, he definitely didn't do anything wrong to get dropped or anything like that. I don't see any other players coming into that forward line for Gold Coast. So that's definitely a positive. Yeah, look, Gold Coast are a good side as well. So they could easily, the ball's going to be down in their forward line a fair bit. So he's going to have the opportunity to score goals and get possession. So I really like that pick. Another top end draft pick from the last draft was Cooper Duff Titler. Ruck forward status, 190k. A few people are looking to pick him just to have that nice swing and possibly be a safe job security kind of rookie. Would you lean towards Duff Titler at all?
Yeah, the job security and the DPP are a huge plus. I just think the scoring will be so low that it'll be hard to justify the pick. So he has been on my radar a little bit, but with Liam Reedy likely not making an appearance in our sides, does it make him more of an option than R3? I just think it's too much to pay, unfortunately. I would have liked it, but yeah, it's not for me.
No, that's fair enough. Next guy on our list is Phoenix Gothard. Was selected prior to the 2024 season, finally getting his debut as we speak. The game is running. Do you see him as a possible option? He's forward only, so it's not like we can throw him into the midfield. We're pretty stacked for forward options, but what if he pulls out a 70 today?
Yeah, it'd just be too hard to pick him, I think, with the outs the GBS have. A couple guys coming back in the next few weeks, and he's a small forward at the end of the day. It's just going to be like, it'll be fluctuating scores. They've started well against the Hawks, so like they're not going to win every week if they win today. So I just think, yeah, again, there's so many guys ahead of him that I just wouldn't really be considering any of these guys down here.
Yeah. Well, he's down the bottom end in terms of the scoring at the moment. So I think that's probably a safe avoid on that one. Some other guys we've got West Coast. They're not playing in their opening round, as we stated with Devon Robertson. But Finlay McRae, do you reckon he sneaks his way into the West Coast side?
Nah, I doubt it. And even then, he'll just be playing a half forward role. it's not something that I'd be that
Yeah,
keen on.
that's fair. Al Ashkar for Essendon, that's another small forward. I think that we've listed off a lot of players that are more ahead of him. Sullivan Roby was a top end draft pick, mid forward status, 167k. I believe he's carrying an injury and might not be back for a few rounds. Would you look at him being a downgrade option throughout the year?
Yeah, potentially if he gets given the role and has a good crack at the AFL team. But yeah, I think he's currently nursing a back injury, which is not really a good one to be having at such a young age. So yeah, I'd want him to come to the VFL and force his way into the AFL side, and then I'd consider him, and hopefully the role's
Yeah,
all right.
supposedly he's only 1 week away. So, yeah, I suspect he'd go through the VFL as well. And yeah, force his way into the side. So just keep an eye on him as a downgrade option. He is at 167k though, which is a little bit annoying. What about Lincoln McCarthy from Brisbane? I mean, I could probably answer this one anyway. He's was the first picked emergency. So yeah, missed out on the Brisbane side. So that's probably an easy avoid there, but maybe one to keep an eye on. If you possibly need a downgrade option 1 week and he's in that side. Taylor Byrne from Carlton didn't feature in their game in opening round, so he's an easy avoid there, but also one to keep an eye on since there's a lot of good raps on him from the Carlton aspect. And then finally, for the rookies, we'll round it out with Harvey Harrison. You were so hot on this guy in the preseason. I admit he looked pretty good in the preseason games, but just couldn't squeeze his way into the Collingwood side. Is he one we need to keep watching? Are you devastated that he's not in the Collingwood side? You're a Collingwood man. Come on, what's the inside?
Yeah, mate, I was heartbroken. I was genuinely heartbroken that he was in the squad. I think he has a lot to give for us. But looking at the bright side and the SuperCoach side of things, I think he will provide a good downgrade option throughout the year. So yeah, keep an eye on him. He's coming back from a pretty big ACL injury, so give him a few games in the VFL. Let him run it out, get some form up, and yeah, I think we'll see him in the AFL side at some point. So yeah, definitely want to keep an eye on.
Yeah, yeah, that's fine. Let's move to the mid prices, and we'll start with a guy that I reckon's in both of our sides in Sam Lawler, going into his second season of the AFL, has never done a preseason. I'm just so big on this. The fact that he hasn't done a preseason because he's just been that good at cricket and playing at a high level that he's now got a preseason under his belt. No injuries that I can recall. Just locked into that midfield by the looks of it, especially with Cumming going down and yeah, the likes. So is it just an easy pick at under 300k?
Yeah, I just think he needs to be really bad for it to fail with the role that he's got. He averages 75, 80, and he's making 100k, and then that's the worst that could happen. But I think the upside's so high, he could average 95 plus and really push that top 10 for forwards. We know how talented he is. So, yeah, I'm pretty hot on this pick. I just think it is almost risk free in the sense you just have a free crack at a cheap top end forward. And if you get it wrong, well, you've made a bit of cash and you can chase one of the guys who are going to make that top 10. So, yeah, I really like this one, and I know as a Richmond supporter, you're definitely in favour as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, I'm very hot on Sam Lawler. Like number one draft pick, obviously for a reason because he's just that talented. Looks like he's just put on huge size as well, so he's just going to be a massive bully in that midfield. Provides us a bit of different sort of run in there compared to a Taranto and Hopper, I'd say. And yeah, if he averages 80 by round 7, he's already made 100k. So that's great scores to have on field and good cash generation. So I really like that pick. One that is probably on the other end of the scale. He is a mid-pricer, but you could argue he's going to finish top 6 forward, maybe even top 3 in Sam Flanders from St Kilda.
That's a lock for you, Tice. Yeah, don't even spend much time on Sammy Flanders. He'll be top 2 forward and probably could even out-pip Sheasel as the number 1 forward at the end of the year. So yeah, he'll be in everyone's sides, unfortunately. But yeah, just lock him away and
Yep.
don't question
Little
it.
part of me hopes he actually performs pretty bad against your mob tomorrow. So then some people jump off, and then it's a little nicer to have him as a maybe unique in a couple of leagues. But anyway, yeah, it should be locked in your side. In the fact that we're talking about tomorrow's game between Collingwood and St Kilda, Jordan De Goey is named in the midfield, do you think that this role is going to stick? Is he not just going to cop another injury? What are you seeing, Degoe?
I think the role sticks, and he hasn't had any injury all preseason, which I can't remember the last time I've said that about John DeGoey. So he's as fit as he's ever been, and it looks like he's playing in midfield. So I like it. There's a lot of risk there just in terms of his body, and we know how he has had a lot of down form slumps before. So there is risk, but there's also upside. He's shown a lot of promise for a lot of years. So can this be the year he's got his body right? Can he really break into that? Knowing what he can do, and could this be his year? So, yeah, just over 300k of eligible as a forward. There's definitely upside. I know you've been flirting with the pick all preseason.
Yeah, I'm pretty hot on this, especially because he's averaged over 100 in the past, or around 100 in the past before. So we know that he can do it. He's definitely got the talent to do it. In countless years, he's averaged that 85 to 90. So if you just get that this year, when apparently he's looking as fit as ever, got a kid, got the head screwed on now. With that forward eligibility, I think he's could really push top 8 forward at this rate. So yeah, I like the fact I get to see it first. That's probably been the biggest caveat of me persisting with him in my side. I get to see it before I can then just rule him out. So yeah, I like the fact I can see that. Josh Rochelle is another one that's supposedly going to get a lot more midfield time, especially with Rankin out for the first week. Do you like what you see from Rochelle? I quite like it at the price he's at. The only thing is he's got to push to that 500k to, I guess, be a tick of a pick, a positive pick. Yeah, are you looking at Rochelle at all?
It would have been really nice if he was playing this weekend, and I could have had a good look then. I can't. Just with what I've seen, I can't be certain that he will make that 100k, push 500k and be, a top 10 forward, which is what you'd want from the price that he's at. I think there's a lot of guys we've spoken about already who are, low 300ks, high 200ks who provide a better option at a lower risk that I'd be more inclined to pick. Your Lawlers, even your DeGoeys, a couple of other guys we'll get to who I think are just a less risky than Michelle. You need more from Michelle for it to be positive. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy fading him at this point.
That's agree with that. Connor McDonald is another one that is sort of in that similar vein of Josh Rochelle. With Will Day going down, James Warple moving clubs, it looks like that there's some real midfield time that's opened up. He's definitely trained there in the preseasons, even though Sam Mitchell says he's not going to play there. At the moment, he's got the second most touches on the ground in the Hawthorn game just before half time. So, and the heat map's kind of showing that he's playing some midfield time. If he's playing midfield and one of those main midfielders, I think it's too hard to look past.
Yeah, I see him very in the same vein as Josh Rochelle, and the fact that I'd rather take the risk on other forwards who don't have to do as much to really justify selection. At Conor McDonald's elevated price at just under 400k, you need a lot from him. You need him to average 90 plus for it to be worth it. So I'm not sold that he will. If you are sold that he will, even in the midfield role, then yeah, go ahead and grab it. But yeah, I can't be certain, and I think if he averages 70, that's a failed pick. Whereas if Lawler averages 70, 75, it's not. He still makes you a little bit of cash, and you can look elsewhere there. So I just think there's less risk in other guys.
Yeah, I agree with that. But if I see him as the second fiddle in their midfield mix, and he's just only playing midfield for the 10, 12 weeks, or however long Will Day's out, I like it, and I'd have to seriously consider it, but I need to see that he is only midfield. If he looks to be floating off that half forward, maybe playing 40% CBAs, I'm already out of that. So, I need to be really convinced here. Another guy that sort of had a role change in the preseason is Toby Green. Obviously getting on a little bit with age, but looks like he's moved into that midfield role and played really well in that practice game. I know you're a big caveat for Toby Green. Are you looking at starting him at all?
Nah, I would have had to be. I really like it, and I'm a big fan of him, but I would have needed to be blown away today. And from what I've seen to start. I haven't been blown away yet. But yeah, I'll have a good watch of the second half and see what I can do. But no, I just think again he's at 440k, so like similar boat as Rochelle and Connor McDonald. You need a lot from him to justify a selection. Whereas there's other guys we've spoken about, and even guys we're still to touch on who I like more than Toby Green.
Yep, that's fair. Connor Buderick is another one that we are going to touch on. I'm assuming who you were alluding to just then on fading Toby Green is the fact that he's under 250k, the most appealing part of this pick.
Yeah, so appealing. The role is like probably almost the most appealing of all of them as well. Like just the halfback role, I think is huge. It looks like in the practice match he's been used off halfback. I know there was no Bailey Dale, so that's like, but we'll see them together in opening round tonight. Yeah, he's one I'm heavily watching tonight. He's in my team at the moment. I just think for that price, you don't need much from him to justify selection. So I think he's a good on-field option. He's really super cheap. And yeah, I don't think he probably doesn't have the upside of some of the other guys we've spoken about. I don't think he'll push into that top 10 forwards. I don't think there's a world in which that happens, but I think he's a good stepping stone to be able to use him, be comfortable with him, and then have a look at the other guys, and so you can target them in 5-6 weeks. Who's standing out above the crowd? Is Connor McDonald getting that midfield time? Awesome, I'll pick him up now when I'm confident in it, because I'm not confident about it now. So I think Connor Buderick will be my way of having a look at the field and seeing who I think will be top six.
Yeah, in that halfback role, you really have to be you really just have to be avoiding the footy at your best effort to not make you money. So I see him punching out 80s in that backline role, and by round 6 he should be above 350k already. So that's some really good points there. The only thing is that, like, by the time you're listening or watching this, the game would have already been played. Bailey Dale was touch and go to play in the game that's upcoming. So I wouldn't be surprised if he is a laid out, but yeah, obviously you'll know that beforehand. So I want to see it with Bailey Dale in the side. Otherwise I see Buderick just moving forward, maybe just being there, Mr. Fix-It, just plug some holes here and there. Some other players that people might be considering, Jamara Ugle-Hagan didn't play in last night's game, played in the VFL, but kicked 6 goals and looked really good. Probably just easy to avoid since he's not in the current side. But if he pushes into round 1 now, would you then consider Jamara?
With the early bye, you could probably wait and just. I think I would wait until he's played his 2 games and then the bye, and you can pick him up on the bubble. I'd want to see it. It's pretty easy for a guy that talented to take the piss in the VFL. He's not up to the scratch at AFL yet, so I don't know if that will translate as quickly as people might expect. So yeah, I'd want to see it at an AFL level first.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. Yeah, round 3 is their bye, so you can wait till then to pick him up. Charlie Curnow played on Thursday night. They just obliterated the Blues, and Curnow only got 65. So I think it's easy to avoid him. Yes, Sydney will be good this year, but when you're seeing a 65 in a 63-point win, I'd wanted to see 100 to even consider him at that point. Adam Treloar from the Dogs, still nursing an injury. I believe he's named for tonight's game. Oh, he got named in the VFL? I'm actually not sure. You might be able to know.
Yeah, he's not playing. I think Bevo said in a press conference during the week, you'll see Treloar at AFL level this year, but from what it sounds like, he'll play a lot of VFL footy. So, yeah, I don't think they see him in their long-term plans or playing a big part in their season this year. So, yeah, from someone who was very heavily SuperCoach favoured to start the season, I think he's fallen out of a lot of teams and will do throughout the year. So, yeah, he's fallen out of my calculations altogether now after what Bevo spoke about.
Yeah, that's fair. I do agree with that as well. Joel Fraser, his teammate, though, probably sort of playing the same role that we'd see. There was a lot of talk about him playing 60 to 70% CBAs before the season even started. In the practice game against Hawthorn, he wasn't even trialled in there much. He probably only got 20 to 30%. It was still Libba, Kennedy, Richards and Bont as the main 4. So he is 5th in line there for sure. They're saying that Libba would play elsewhere so Fraser can move in, but I don't see Liver being good enough to play anywhere else. He's just a beast in that midfield. I almost think they're just going to play him until he breaks down. So, and then Fraser would get his time. So I think it's easier to avoid Fraser to start and then possibly bring him in when that midfield role comes. Would you be on the same vein as that?
Yeah, completely agree with everything you said.
I think he's going to be a top 8 forward with the midfield role. So, you just have to wait to see when that comes into fruition. Buku Karmas really dominated the practice game, but we're just not looking there. I'm not looking there at all. Looks like he's just going to be. There's a lot more better options that we've already named. And the last one we'll probably touch on is Murphy Reed. A lot more chat has come about from Murphy Reed. He obviously played very well in that practice game, racking up 30 touches, but he's not in a midfield role. Is that just as easy as he's not in the role? We're not picking him just because he's not in the role.
Yeah, I just wouldn't. He'll be a star, and once he gets that full midfield role for Freo, he'll be very SuperCoach relevant. But yeah, I'm just not interested in paying that much for a small forward in his second year at this stage. So yeah, he's a very talented player and will be SuperCoach relevant for a long time. But yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, especially while Hayden Young, Brayshaw, Sarong, they're all fit. They throw Bolton through there. I think Bolton and Reed will probably just be fourth and fifth fiddle in there. So it's pretty easy to avoid them. But that's probably it in terms of the forwards. A few very good options. We know we're locking in 2 rookies and a mid-pricer. So everyone's team should have Dev Rob, Philippou and Flanders. But outside of that, there's some decent options in there. So go select your forward lines based on our advice, and we'll see how that shapes up. Thanks for that, Das. We'll catch you in the next episode.
Cheers, thanks, Das. Cheers, mate.